the Thursday, August 2026 Airport Authority meeting. Please join us if you'd like for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Thornberry.
Heavenly Father, we're just so grateful and thankful for this meeting and everyone here today. We just ask that you be with us, give us guidance and wisdom to make decisions to the best interests of our airport. We pray for health and well-being for everyone here as we go throughout our day. We ask the same for those who use and operate our airport and the citizens that we serve. We ask everything to your glory and in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I'd like to remind everybody to please silence your cell phones. And before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge that we have Councilwoman Polk from the city of Punta Gorda, and we also have Airport Authority-elect Mrs. Dull, who's in the audience. Did I miss anybody? And all the rest of you are also very important, so didn't want to leave anybody out. Okay, roll call.
Good morning, everyone. Mr. Leskovich.
Here.
Mr. Swellen.
Here.
Mr. Carr.
Present.
Mr. Hansick.
Here.
Mr. Parrish.
Here.
Mr. Thornberry.
Here.
Thank you.
Oh, any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Citizens input, sir.
All right, we'll back up to item 5, citizens input.
I don't want to skip it.
Yeah, they get all upset. Anyone, citizens input, please come forward, identify yourself. Seeing none, now we'll go on to addition or deletions to the agenda. Mr. Parrish.
I have one addition that's on the agenda on your screen. It's an OTA with TSA. It'll be number E on, or letter E on new business.
Okay, we'll add it to the agenda.
Thank you.
Moving on, employee recognition.
Seems the ops department is the majority of the employee recognition.
Yeah.
Hey, good morning to the board, Mr. Parrish. I'd like to thank you all for the opportunity to recognize some of our employees here and some of their achievements. Particularly today, I'd like to recognize Wesley Woolfolk. Wesley is an airside operations duty manager, and he's earned the certified member designation from the American Association of Airport Executives. The CM requires qualifying experiences in airport management and successful completion of a comprehensive exam covering all aspects of airport management, including airport operations, safety and security, planning, environmental compliance, finance, communications, and federal regulatory requirements. It's a highly recognized industry credential, and Wesley's completed it while carrying his full duties as a duty manager. Wesley joined us about 2.5 years ago, provides day-to-day leadership for the airside team. In that time, he has taken on our airside training program, working to standardize how new personnel are onboarded and qualified. He's also reviewed and reprioritized the team's daily duties, aligning what the shift focuses on with our actual inspection and compliance obligations, which has improved our consistency in how those requirements are documented and closed out. He's also served as a steady point of coordination for the airside team during irregular operations, where clear direction matters the most. Wesley's dedication to continuous improvement at Punta Gorda will leave a lasting impression for years to come. Please join me in congratulating Wesley Woolfolk.
Wesley self-studied for that, which is difficult to
tough,
do, and
yeah.
so got to give him a little credit for doing that.
Okay. Secretary Treasurer's report.
Consent agenda.
Well, consent agenda, all right. We can do it. Chair will entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
So moved.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously.
Thank you, sir.
Item 9. Continuing our public hearing for the FY 2026-27 budget. First
So-
item.
So we went through the budget during the budget workshop. So at this point, I've met with all of you, made some minor adjustments to the budget. But what we always do with this one is start with the capital list. So I realize this is small, but hopefully everyone can see it. Starting at the top, we're updating radios and reconfiguring the tower for a fourth position. That will be funded only if the FAA approves a fourth position. We are replacing one truck in the projects department. It's an old, is that an F-150 we're replacing? The old Ford Explorer that I think is up there in miles. We're trying on trucks that aren't used for heavy duty stuff. We're going to the Ford Mavericks, a little bit cheaper, and we've had pretty good luck with them. We are getting a new floor scrubber for the new section of the terminal. This is a robotic floor scrubber that will just operate during the evening hours after most of the passengers have gone. If you've been to Sam's, they operate one. They're pretty smart. They stop if people walk around them, but it'll just take while the janitorial team is working in other areas. This will just go ahead and take care of the floor. We're replacing one of our tractors, the oldest tractor. Those things run between 5 and 8 hours a day mowing grass during this time of year, and they just wear out. We track maintenance on all of our equipment, and so when the maintenance starts to move up, cost and time, we put it in for replacement. This one has met that. We're also buying a new smaller batwing to pull behind it so we can do tighter areas. One more ADA bus. Right now we have one ADA shuttle bus. We want to have a second in case we have issues with that one to meet all our ADA requirements. We're putting some new LED signage. This is marketing signage in the terminal. That will be paid back through the marketing program. One of the big costs this year is checkpoint relocation. We're required to reimburse or pay the TSA to move the checkpoint, and that'll happen as we remodel and turn the checkpoint 90 degrees and put it in its new location. And that'll happen. When do we think that's going to happen? January. So that'll be during the busy time of the year, but they'll do 1 lane a day or 1 lane a night. Security, this is another truck for security. That's because Ryan doesn't like riding around in the ATV that the previous guy loved riding around in. So we'll get him something with air conditioning. He does go all over the airport all day long. And then get down into facilities, which is the majority of our expenditures. Do have another truck in the facilities department, privacy wall. We're continuing the concrete walls. You remember we approved the one around the M&O building that's also been approved and is in the final stages of permitting, I hope. The wall between the rental cars and the AOA ramp. We want to do that as well along employee parking between those two buildings. New air handlers in the existing terminal. Those are original air handlers from 2007 that need to be updated and replaced. Another truck for the baggage handling system manager who's there every day and maintaining the baggage handling system. Seal coating some parking lots. Another admin vehicle that's could or could not happen. The $750,000, the biggest expenditure is in replacing another 12 T-hanger doors. And then I'll say this in public, but the big ass fan for the bulk hanger. Painting the new FBO hanger. If you recall, we removed painting the red steel out of their contract, and we'll do it ourselves once they're done. And then an additional canopy over a wash rack area at the M&O facility. Total of about 2.9 million.
Question.
Sure.
With the length of the expanded terminal building, I know we have some golf carts. You're gonna put one in there for either administrative folks to go back and forth, or how you're gonna handle disabilities in that length?
Well, the airline's responsible for it. They push all the wheelchairs from the
Mr.
curb to the plane.
Parrish, if I may, the contract company that's taking over the ground handling and customer service function for Allegiant is AvFlight, and they are bringing back what they call passenger assist people specifically to transport wheelchair passengers from ticketing through the checkpoint and out to the aircraft. So they are adding that back as a function. Allegiant had done away with that when they staffed it themselves, and the contract company is required to have those now.
Because when people see the need expansion of the terminal building and the length, it's long.
And if you
It's
recall,
looking like
they
a real airport.
yes, if you recall, the wheelchair passenger assist people had to make that trek outside before, so it's a little bit cooler this way, and they will have people specifically for outside and inside on both sides of the checkpoint.
Okay, thank you.
Will you elaborate on the truck for the baggage handling supervisor?
So he's having to run back and forth to M&O where we store a lot of the parts, and so he just needs a vehicle to do that.
So
Or
it's
work.
not just airside, it's,
No.
There's a lot of the maintenance on the rollers when those break. They're having to come back to the welding shop at M&O to re-weld the rollers and put them back in. They're pretty large and heavy.
thank you. And then the rotary mower, that's the attachment that you were talking about? getting into?
That's a big bat wing. that goes behind. Yeah, it's a bush hog. Any other questions? All right, we can move forward. Talk about fuel a little. So one more slide. Just wanted to go over one of the things we failed to market last year. This was approved in the rates and charges, but we just didn't get the word out. Although everyone's gotten it. If you've filled up here and you're a base tenant, you get a 60-cent discount on full service every day of the week. And so we got a lot of concern that we were the most expensive out there. Just wanted to point out that we're not. We have been one of the cheapest. This is just a 1 month average, June 30th, August 3rd. And with the 60-cent base tenant rate, we were by far the cheapest out there. And for self-serve, we're consistently at the bottom. I can't say we're always the cheapest for self-serve, but we're consistently at the bottom. And then we also offer Top Off Tuesdays, where we'll come to you full service out of the truck at self-serve rates. So there's a lot of opportunities for our base tenants to save money on fuel. We do what we can to help GA operations, and this was one that we got a lot of feedback that we were the most expensive around, and that just isn't the case if you're a base tenant.
And Mr. Parrish, if I may on that one as well, that was a suggestion prior to last year's rates and charges from a tenant group that we were meeting with regularly, that we have a base tenant discount for fuel. So we implemented that last year. That one's on me. I did not do a good job of marketing that.
Yeah.
So that's why we're bringing it up now. We've put it out in the buzz, and we're also going to be handing out some type of notification when people fill up at their hangar under full serve. We'll be letting people know that they are receiving that discount.
Top Off Tuesday. That's not every Tuesday.
No, it's once a month.
I've gotten some input, nobody knows what Tuesday of the month it is. Why don't we do it every Tuesday?
It's the same Tuesday every month.
See, I got bad information here.
And it's put out
In the,
buzz.
it is the third Tuesday of every month,
Okay. The,
or the day after tenant talks.
about the
Day
same.
after what?
Tenant talks.
Tenant talks. Thank you.
So,
Okay.
next few slides are the budget itself. So all of you have seen this, not a lot of changes, from the tentative or from the budget workshop. Tightened up a few numbers, but the biggest change is in, T-hangers. That's gonna come in lower this year, than last year and lower than what we talked about at the workshop. Next slide. So total operating expenses for the year, about 27.9 million. And next slide. These are non-operating. Go back to the first slide real fast. I'm sorry. So total operating revenues, 29.8 million. Total operating expenses, next slide, 27.9 million. It is a reduction in operating margin from the previous year. You'll notice the previous year we had a 10% operating margin. Now, if you look at forecast, we're forecasting about 15% for end of year. So we're doing better. We're holding our costs down as much as we can. A lot of that is because of the way we're having to post our rents. They're now split between operating and below the line. So it's really not a big decrease, but it's going to show it on here because we look at operating more than we look at below the line. All right, next slide. So these are non-operating incomes, PFCs, CFCs, retirement benefits that we have to accrue, interest on investments, interest income. This is the lease income that used to be above the line. So you can see that's almost, $830,000, almost $1 million that's now below the line. Then our SIB loan, the cost to pay that back every year, and then bank fees. So we are doing really well. At the end of the day, there's one more slide, I believe. So it's about a $69 million budget for the year. That includes the capital expenditures of about 32 million. You'll see that's down significantly from the previous year, and that's because we're finishing up the terminal. Any questions?
This was slide or whole?
The whole budget.
Were you going to elaborate on the T-hanger change?
So we have a T-hanger transition plan in your packet that we'll talk about later, but we are going to stick to the 3% that's in the lease, and we're going to transition everybody to the same rate in 5 years, which will have the majority of the tenants that are paying a higher rate. They'll drop down, different rates for different hangars, but the standard 42-foot unit will be $450, except for the new building. And then over 5 years at 3%, they'll increase to that 450, and then everybody will be on the same.
Now this goes for approval next month.
Next month. So there's a draft copy in the packet today, and I'll talk about it
Later.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Do we need a motion to adopt the tentative budget
Well, citizens input, and then we.
on the public? All right. Anybody want to talk about the budget? Yeah, all this information was online.
Do we need action to close public hearing?
Yeah, we could.
We get open.
Then we don't have to close it.
Exactly.
We technically should have opened it.
But it's on the agenda as a public hearing inside of this public hearing. So I don't know if there's formality of opening.
Opening and closing it. That makes sense. Okay,
So the next item is adopt.
adopt the tentative budget.
Yeah.
I move to adopt the tentative fiscal year 2026-2027 budget.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Secretary Treasurer's report.
Chad, everything is looking good. Numbers are looking fantastic. I'm going to refer to you and Mr. Parrish as well.
I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Rosenstein, who decided to show up to this meeting.
Yes,
Thank you,
yes.
sir. He's tan.
My time off was lovely. Thank you. Good morning. So yes, June financials were another strong month. We were about $230,000 above budget in revenues. Expenses were down about 1% overall for the month of June. We came in about $500,000 in favor of our budget, which is a 21% margin. We had budgeted 12% for the month of June, so it was a strong month for revenues. Year to date, we are 6% in favor of budget, so we're ahead of budget, doing well. A couple of notable items for the month: airline-related revenues were 11% higher than what we had budgeted. Primarily car rentals brought in an additional $72,000, and food and beverage was also up as well. The ground transportation was high as well. We're noticing a lot more activity in the ground transportation area. Air center revenues were also up about 22%. Part of that is the airline fuel hookup fee goes into the air center revenue, so that's part of it. Some of our expenses, Mr. Carr is working quite a bit for us, so his expenses are a little higher than what we had budgeted, but he's doing a great job. And then electricity is actually up a little bit. We've got some new facilities that are online that are using a lot of power, inline baggage handling system, and a couple of other buildings that have come online. As far as the balance sheet, it's looking great. I'll just point out we do have about $10.2 million in grants receivable. So that's money that we put out and have allocated to grants, and we just have to draw that down. So we submit draw applications to the agencies and get reimbursement to that. So we are due that amount. As far as the accounts receivable agent report, things are looking good. We don't have very many outstanding accounts, about $1,800 for tenants that are over 90 days, and it's like $17 for accounts over 60 days. So we continue to stay on top of that and bring those tenants into compliance. But overall, June, we had a 21% operating margin against a 12% budget, and it was a good month. That's all I have.
Any questions?
No, but I was glad to see the account receivables that were, the last several months, we had quite a bit floating out there. So it's nice to see those disappear.
I think we've, at least for the next few months, we've solved the issue with the billing department with the one that was over, and hopefully we can move forward and not have an issue anymore.
Okay, moving on, agenda item 12, liaison reports. I'll start. I had a conversation with Councilwoman Polk earlier this week, and there's nothing on their agenda that would be of concern to us.
The only thing we have with the city right now is they're requesting an easement that Brett and I are working on. It's out on Henry Street. And the easement documents that they sent us go across our property line. So they need to rewrite the easement, so it's only on our property.
Okay, that hasn't come to us.
It hasn't come to the board yet. I just want to let you know that that's one of the things we're dealing with the city right now.
Is that for utility?
It's a utility easement. It's a new line under I-75 that they need to go, and then they'll hop back into their existing easement for the rest of the.
Okay. County Commissioners.
I have nothing to report.
MPO.
MPO, I reported on our Challenger Road project, and another big topic of conversation was the mandate from the state to do a study only to potentially consolidate MPOs. there's some back and forth. It was determined it is a funded mandate. So it's going to happen one way or the other. And there was a lot of discussion about whether we should just come out of the gate with a resolution to oppose. And it was ultimately decided that we would see what the study says and then make a decision from there, or see where it goes from there. Other than that, I have not had an economic development meeting since I know there was a lunch that I wasn't able to attend. I believe it mainly centered around legislative updates. So other than that, the questions, if there's any questions, otherwise that concludes my report.
Okay, Ms. Copa is not here in the community, and of interest was probably the election, which everybody knows what the outcome was. So with that, we'll move on to the school board report. Anything, Steve?
There's nothing from the school board that has any impact on the airport.
Okay.
I did congratulate Tony for his
Tony.
new position, so we look forward to working with him.
Okay. Interesting. Item 13 is the attorney's report. 13 with the attorney's report. Interesting number.
What's that?
13.
13? Yeah. Good God. Well, part of doing my good job, as Chad referred it to, I've been rather busy this month. Part of it because of Chad. Actually, a lot of it because of Chad. We all know that Chad can be very offensive, and he called me one day and he said, Daryl, we just had a call with Props Pizza. The man was belligerent, angry, upset, and rude. I said, well, probably deservedly so. Would you like me to call him? He said, yes. Apparently, this gentleman was rude to both Chad and Nicole. So I figured since I'm just such an affable person, I would give him a call. Well, I called him and I spoke with him first I called him. He called me back 3 days later. And he was again rude, obnoxious. And then he said to me, he was extremely upset about something about the fact that we had requested a license as opposed to a lease. I requested that he provide me a red line so that we could review that and discuss it. He told me he didn't have to talk to me. I told him he was absolutely correct, and I terminated the phone call, meaning I hung up. In any event, I reported back to Chad and staff, and of course, Kaylee was very distraught over this development because she apparently likes pizza. But and part of her quest to get us yet a FBO restaurant installed. However, I think the consensus, and I could be wrong, but of all is about that we simply do not need somebody that's going to have that sort of attitude just through part of the negotiation. I believe Chad agreed with that. Chad can report further on this, but I believe he also had a further follow-up call that did not well with the other gentleman that presented, and he's indicated that they are not going to proceed for various reasons. So that was the status of that on Chad. If you want to supplement that.
You might mention, for those that aren't aware, Props Pizza was the operator we were dealing with on going into the Air Center, the GA building.
And this
They
was
were not a franchise.
This was this was one of their investors who was also acting as their attorney.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, I'd say we're at an impasse with negotiations. Their investors have elected not to invest at this time as well. So it doesn't seem like there's a path forward for the entrepreneur. So I think that we're going to end up terminating the further negotiations.
And just for a little background, so you don't think that staff is being obstinate, we had a meeting with the proprietor and his contractor. They came to us with a list of things they thought we should pay for. It exceeded the $200,000 that we had originally offered. We agreed to the additional amount. Then they said they didn't want to sign a license agreement, which everybody, well, not everybody, but most of our agreements like this are license agreements. We agreed to change it to a lease agreement, but it just wasn't going to move forward.
So what you're looking for is an instruction, as I understand, to council to formulate a document terminating our current lease agreement.
So the last,
we have a lease agreement.
we don't have a lease agreement. This was, the last direction from the board was to negotiate a lease and bring it back, and we're just
So
updating you that we're not going to be able to negotiate a lease with them.
What was the issue with the licensing agreement?
Well, that was the question we asked the attorney, who said he said the entire document was ridiculous and he would never have it signed.
I believe his statement to me was only an idiot would sign that. And I said, well, a number of people inside of our terminal have signed it, and it's our standard license agreement. That's when he told me he didn't need to talk to me anymore. And I concurred.
You know, we negotiate leases all the time.
Sure.
And, you know, if we are open to changes, if our attorney concurs and the board concurs, we modify our leases all the time to fit corporate requirements with FedEx and UPS back in the day. This just wasn't going anywhere.
Understanding the distinction between a license and a lease agreement, as you're aware, as an attorney, is that one gives one a proprietary right inside of the property where you have to actually evict them, where a license agreement does not provide that, and therefore removal of them and also for non-compliance is a little bit easier, which is the reason we use a license agreement inside of our terminal for anybody that's occupying that. We use leases for people that want to get a proprietary or occupancy sort of issue related to something like a tent, like a T hanger or a hangar or something to that effect. A license agreement, pretty standard in the industry.
during that process, we didn't have a number two in line.
Well, there was
That-
two people.
There were two
There were
people.
Yeah.
The second one is not interested
Anymore.
anymore. So we'll continue.
I mean, do you want us to give consensus to terminate communications with them, or?
I mean, your last consensus was for us to negotiate, and we're just letting you know that that's
Okay.
terminated.
And obviously, the negotiation takes two sides, and
Yes.
then we've done everything we can, is what it sounds like. I just want to make sure we're being as business friendly as we possibly can.
I'll be honest. I didn't think this was moving forward about a month ago. That's why when they came to us with the additional cost and the change to a lease, I told staff to move forward with both of those, kind of calling their bluff. Okay, we've agreed to everything, now do it. And that's when it blew up again with their attorney, so.
And the lease rates that we were offering them were very, very favorable for them. We typically look for a percentage of their gross revenues on these types of agreements, and they didn't want to do that. They would rather have a fixed monthly cost. The fixed monthly costs that we were offering them were it was like $3,000 a month for 5 years to help them establish the business. And then there'd be some adjustments after that, but even those adjustments were very low. So it's as far as rent, it was a very favorable lease in their favor, and they just still can't make it happen.
So how quickly will we be able to put this back out?
We'll start advertising it as soon as possible. I mean, we've worked with or tried to work with Faberco and Greg, who's they run all of the restaurants inside the terminal. They're not interested.
We've had some conversations with another airport concessionaire. They're a national company, and they're in some airports in the region. Sarasota, I think Fort Myers has them now as well. It could be something they're interested in. It's not typically what they do because they generally operate within the terminal, right? And they have, a certain amount of people that they know are going to buy things. The air center is a little different, right? Because they don't have that capacity right there. So we'll continue to talk with them as well, and then see what else is out there.
I would also mention that we have spoken collectively, staff has spoken to pretty much every restaurateur locally that we know or could think of or visit on a weekly basis. So everybody, when we first put this out, it was right after the hurricanes. Then we had more hurricanes. People are building new restaurants that may have otherwise been interested. So the timing has just not been in favor of that approach.
So let's cross our fingers. We have no hurricanes, and maybe we'll get someone interested.
One other item, being in the construction world, I heard through the grapevine that there's some things that were done from the original potential tenant that need to be either ripped out and redone. There was a lot of things that wasn't just like move-in ready. Is there anything we can do, if that's the case, is there anything we can do to make that process easier for the next person that comes.
The biggest thing that's lacking over there is HVAC. And the hard thing, we can condition the restaurant space, but the hard thing to calculate is what kind of equipment they're putting in the kitchen to see what kind of exhaust and what kind of air we need to pump into there. So that's why I didn't want to go too far in advance and add this air condition, and then a restaurateur comes in and now all of a sudden there's overabundance of grills and we don't have enough air for it now. Now we have to go back and redo it. That's why we're kind of waiting to see the design of what's going to be in the kitchen before we move forward with that.
And that's the reason I offered the additional $67,000 above and beyond the $200,000 that was in there, was to help them with the HVAC. Actually, they got a really good quote for HVAC. I was kind of shocked. But there were a lot of other items. The flooring, they want to strip the floors and start over. So
Because there was finished floor in there, correct?
not
Or was
finished.
when I was-
It's finished. It's stained concrete,
Okay.
but it's not like the stained concrete in the terminal where it was ground down
Okay.
and polished.
I just remember it was odd that there was finished floor before drywall was even installed when I was in there, so, yeah.
Do we have other options that we can do with the space?
Yes, there is a wait list for offices in the FBO.
Let's do it.
We could
I
do
mean,
offices.
how much money would that generate?
It would generate, it's a double-edged sword. Yes, we would generate more money doing office space, but we're not providing a service to the general aviation community. So I really want to try again to get a restaurant.
Knock a wall out and park the food trucks inside.
So that was a suggestion at Tenant Talks, that we bring food trucks more often. Kaylee has had some conversations with the food trucks. How many meals do they need to do to?
At least 60.
Yeah, at least 60, and they want a guarantee of 60. At the FBO, that's tough. We're going to try it. We've done it. We've had the hot dog vendor there. We've had tacos there. We'll try and get somebody interested.
We got all the schools there, so you have that traffic too.
Yeah. So I think now that we have a little more stuff going on there, maybe we can advertise it a little better and try it with a couple of food trucks and see if they're successful.
I would suggest we try again, and then at that point, evaluate the highest and best use and maybe rethink at that point.
Okay. Well, that's what we'll do. That was my direction to staff, but I just wanted our attorney to give you an update, and so you don't think we're just being belligerent.
It was just Chad, not me.
Anything else, Mr. Carr?
Oh my, I have a whole list. It just goes on and on. We are continuing. I'm going to try and make these very brief as I can, and to the extent you need more detail, I can either give it to you public, et cetera. As you know, we have a contractor on the field who's completed I think, basically two projects. One is the M&O building that sits there. The other is what I call the South Terminal. Some people refer to it as the inline baggage thing. This contractor is known as A squared, oftentimes written A2, but it's actually A squared. We have two major issues with them, one on the M&O building associated with trying to close out that contract. There's a highly complex dirt issue in that and payment for that. We have been discussing with them since, I think, December of last year, trying to close this out. 90 days ago, I gave them a final proposal and terminated any further discussions. Heard nothing for that. I sent them a letter the other day saying 90 days have now elapsed. We do have some possibilities under the grant to fund an offer that I made them. They need to get with me. I received at about 5 o'clock last night a lengthy letter about why Mr. White has done so many things improper on this project, which we are definitely do not agree with. And I'm going to have to respond to them. The dirt issue, while it sounds minimal, is roughly $1 million issue spread. We disagree with them. Actually, Mr. White disagrees with them, as does Mr. Parrish, as does, I think, 3 consulting engineers on their position. And so it's proving to be a battle. That same contractor did what I call the South Terminal expansion, sometimes known as the inline baggage system. As you know, they were supposed to be completed in October. They did not complete in October, at least under the contract and under the extensions that we'd agreed to. Exact dates are not important. we could not get a date from them to when they would complete the project. I was brought in to try and facilitate that through a termination letter and some other negotiations. They agreed that they would end on May 29th. They never would sign the settlement agreement that I thought that we had achieved associated with that. In fact, they failed and refused to respond to it, even though they said they would. As a result, there is this delay from what I'll say October until I think we put substantial completion June 2nd on that. There's a substantial liquidated damage claim as a result associated with that. In addition, there is a huge issue with regard to the uninterrupted power source, sometimes referred to as the UPS, has nothing to do with the UPS delivery system. An uninterrupted power source is basically a huge battery backup, as I understand it. That was an add-on to their contract. This needed to be commissioned and started. Mr. White tried to get them to come out here. The company that provided it, they told us, well, we haven't been paid by A Squared. Battle ensued. I got them to pay them, and I believe they appeared, right? The UPS, and it's now commissioned. This was of some major importance, or actually a lot of major importance, because without the UPS, if we lose our power, the baggage handling system goes down and cannot operate. That impacts air safety, makes TSA really irritated because they now have to do hand checks. They take that out on Mr. LaRoche, which is fine by me. But in any event, we did get the UPS, I think now commissioned and online. We are still trying to get A Squared. My last letter to them was for the 8th time in large bold letters, sometimes color in my emails. You need to submit a final pay application. They have failed and refused to do that. They claim, I think, a number, or will claim, we think, a number of other damages or delays or claims associated with delays, so they don't incur the liquidated damages. It is a daily battle with them. I told them the other day that we're just not going to engage in yet another 1-month email exchange with them associated with it. I consult with Mr. White, Mr. LaRoche, and Mr. Parrish on this almost daily, along with the MPO billing. Those are two major outstanding. No lawsuits have been filed. Nobody's threatened a lawsuit. In fact, they've said repeatedly they want to resolve it. I've told them how they can resolve it by sending me final pay apps. For whatever reason, they just fail and refuse to do that. I think Mr. LaRoche and Mr. White's and Mr. Parrish's concern is if we were to pay out the retainage that they're demanding, which is approximately $950,000, that would just simply let them go pay off their, I'll call their subcontractors, and then they're going to file a lawsuit against us for some reason. So we're going to stand fast on our options associated with retainage and concluding this under a final pay app to be determined. I'm going to go through a number of other, what I'd say, relatively smaller items. We had a person who would not pay or couldn't qualify under a T-hanger. He's been a tenant here for a long time. We worked with him, staff, Mr. Chad and Nicole worked with him for a long time, trying to get him to bring it up to speed. He wouldn't do it, couldn't do it. We then communicated with him as an attorney, asked him to do it, and then we filed an eviction action against him. Apparently, he's an older gentleman who's had some difficulty with his airplane, and we had to proceed with an eviction, although I think we're now going to resolve that and give him 90 more days to try and cure the problem, although he's still going to leave. This led to a full review of the T-hanger lease, which I don't think we've reviewed for about 6 months. I have an attorney internal in my firm that does a lot of evictions. I asked him to look at it specifically with an eye for evictions as this may become more prominent. So there was a substantial rewrite, first of the T-hanger as a T-hanger lease by Chad's staff, Nicole and perhaps Chad. And they sent it to us for review. There were some things in there that even we thought was too onerous, so we removed those and made them a little bit more compliant with the statute. We had some, moving on, we had an ARF agreement. I don't know what that really means, ARF. It's something to do with the, what does ARF stand for, the acronym?
Rescue firefighting.
Right. So we have, this county staffs our ARF truck. And as part of that, we reimbursed the county for that staffing. We have been trying since December to get an agreement as to the repayment of that staffing. It did not happen. I got hold of the county attorney, assistant county attorney, or no, they finally communicated with us. I communicated back. They dropped the ball again. I don't know what happened to that county attorney, but now the real county attorney, Mr. Thomas, is on it. And I communicated with them, and that's why it finally got forward and was brought forward today. We now have the new rate, and we have a solid agreement associated with how it's going to be paid for, I think, the next 4 years, 5 years.
5 years.
5 years.
Well, 4 years because we're almost done with this one.
Yeah. We did pay them as part of that agreement an additional, I'm going to say roughly $50,000 for this year. The repayment rate is predicated solely on their contract with the county firefighters unit. So we just pay them, I'll say, a markup on what they provide us for basic administration. But the point being is that after some pulling of teeth, we managed to get that agreement, get it approved by staff and agreed to. The next one is the IDA property. This is approximately 20 acres on what I'll call the south end of the property. We had an agreement a long time ago with a company called Southwest Land Development.
Southwest Land Development.
Southwest Land Development. They were going to excavate it. This property is owned by the IDA, which is, I would say, sort of a subsidiary of Charlotte County. The agreement was that they were going to give us the property afterwards. After 4 years, that still hadn't happened. Mr. Parrish tasked me with advancing that topic, and we now have it advanced to the point where we're actually going to get a deed from the county for that property directly to the airport and without any expense to us, and also a quick claim deed from SLD. And I think we've advanced that. We did some title work on that. I have another attorney in my firm doing the real estate title work, and he's also passing grace on the proposed deeds that we're going to get. It's not a warranty deed, it's a quick claim deed, but we're going to be getting that.
And what does that property do for us?
That property does, I think, nothing for us except that it gives us the control of the south terminal, and it was developed as a, well, I'll let Mr. Parrish, but I think it was developed as a stormwater retention area.
It will allow, if we ever develop the east side of the airport, we'll have stormwater retention in that pond. So we have access through a little flag and then into the, it's actually shown on our ALP because at the time that we were putting together our airport layout plan, they were finishing the pond and assumed it was going to be transferred at the same time. And we're still dealing with it.
Finally, we have this ever cooperative process with the county, which just seems to constantly be delayed, deferred, pushed off, et cetera. And then for whatever reason, the county zoning department decided that they were going to try and shut down the operation of the race facility to the south. We attended, as I reported last time, we attended an actual hearing on that. There was an order entered saying that we basically had expanded that past its historical use, and they issued a fine against us for $100 a day. I objected to the form and substance of that order because they presented it ex parte to the magistrate, and as a result, we have appealed that order. I would note that there are significant errors inside of that order, and we have appealed that, and my draft appellate brief is due the first part of September. Other than that, not much going on.
On the A2 relative to the maintenance building, is that a dirt issue, quantity issue?
I could defer you to Brad or Mr. Parrish, both of which have a very comprehensive knowledge of it. I mean, I understand that the charge that requested $975,000 deals with dirt excavation. The nuances of it, I'll defer you to Brad or Mr. Parrish to explain.
So they had on-site borrow and standard excavation. They want to charge excavation rates to move the on-site borrow.
Oh.
And so the on-site borrow was $6 a yard, and I'm making these numbers up. The other one is $2,000 a yard.
If you remember, we had a lot of on-site borrow from a lot of projects we were doing around the airport, and all the good fill we stockpiled right next to the building with the intentions of using it. So as part of the bid, there was a number in there to just move that dirt, and it was considered excavation when they did it, which was quadruple what the price was.
Sure. Gotcha. Thank you.
Is it safe to assume that they would no longer be qualified bidders?
Unfortunately, that is almost impossible to do.
Yeah.
It's safe to assume.
What's that definition of insanity?
Okay.
Understanding the definition is actually lowest responsible bidder. The question, I think there would be a huge question of not whether they were necessarily responsible, but we could reject any further bids from them based on responsibility. I think predominantly because they just failed to complete the last project now for 8 months. I mean, they've completed it, but they got their substantial completion approximately 8 months late. That was substantial completion. Actual completion hasn't even occurred yet because there are a number of issues under that contract that they're required to do, mostly related to training, which Mr. LaRoche's point on that. But my understanding is that that has now been scheduled. Well, I'll let him say.
Update on that. The scheduled training was canceled last minute when we had people ready for it yesterday.
Who canceled it? The provider?
They did.
They being A Squared?
A Squared.
A Squared canceled. When was that?
Yesterday.
Great.
morning.
It is a perpetual battle with A Squared. Everything, every line item, every compliance, everything is just a perpetual battle.
So basically, we have a project out for bid, and they bid again, then we'll have our attorney advise us.
Assuming they were the lower bidder, I think that we would try to, I believe, given the frustration of staff and myself with them and their legal counsel, we would probably assuming there was the lowest bidder, probably do a lot of research to determine whether or not we could reject them as being responsible.
Right. We don't have to cross that bridge until.
No, I just, we've done, I think I went back over the 20 years I've been here, over $400 million worth of construction and never had issues closing projects. But we've had this issue with the same contractor twice. So I don't think it's a staff issue.
It's the same contractor, but it's also with two different consultants.
Yeah.
So we have two different designers and both going towards the same thing.
And the design teams have put in a lot of additional effort on trying to work through the challenges with that contractor.
I also note that contractor is at war with those design teams and our consultants on their determinations associated internally with how to perform. So it's certainly not just Mr. White. Might be just Mr. Parrish, but it might certainly not Mr. White. But in any event, it is the design teams are just at absolute frustration with them to get anything done.
Okay.
And we've gone out to third parties and said, take this data, tell us what the real answer is. And they won't accept that one.
Independent analysis.
Just this month, the UPS system, we paid for that system, I'm going to say in May.
May 1st, we paid A Squared for that.
May 5th, we gave them $220,000 related to just purchasing the UPS, and we had to actually figure out where to buy it from. We give them the money, they gave it to a sub. We know they got that in May. Come August, 10th, more or less, they communicated with this sub and had that sub send us a letter saying, well, we'll show up for the commissioning of your UPS, but you have to give us assurances both to the sub, A Squared, and the electric company that you're not going to back charge us for anything, or we're not showing up. And A Squared won't pay the money to them unless we did that. We said no.
Okay.
And I told them I was going to inform both the grant provider, their bond company, and probably one other person, and the TSA associated with this, because this now is impacting airside operations and safety. They relented and released that money to the UPS provider, Power Innovations. Power Innovations struck a contract with Brett, although Brett, I would, with great confidence, say that he had arranged with that they would show one way or the other. But we finally got A Squared and or Power Innovations to release that money to, A Squared or Stryker to release that money to Power Innovations. It is a daily battle with them about everything.
Okay, well, let's move on.
Other than that, I've got nothing else to report.
You went beyond your hour allocation.
I miss the good old days where Tom said nothing to report.
Yeah. Okay, moving on, item 14, CEO's report.
Oh, thank you. I will go through, let Mr. White give you a development update.
Development update. I'll go quickly. Any questions, like always, please stop me and ask. Currently in design, our taxiway Delta and Foxtrot realignment. We've approved a couple different concepts. We're moving forward with one, so the design is moving forward. Our master plan, we have our first kickoff meeting here scheduled in September with all parties involved. It's going to roughly take 22, 24 months to complete, but we're excited to get that kicked off and going. Under construction, we're having our pre-construction meeting early September for the Golf Course Challenger Boulevard to get that kicked off and going now that we have the funding secured. Our new FBO hangar, we're planning on having that CO'd early October and ready for air show. The building is constructed. The door has been hung. We're waiting on get power to the building right now to operate the door, but it's going good. The inline baggage system, as y'all just heard, the UPS startup was this week. So that is online now. We're still waiting on closeout documents from the contractor to get that and some training, as we already discussed. Our commercial terminal expansion, the north end opened up Wednesday. I would like to thank our staff here, and also the contractor, DeAndres Diamond, and the designers, AECOM, and their subcontractors, and everyone involved. A lot of hours put into getting that open. Think we got it open a little early, which is good, but we're getting it open, get the kinks worked out, ready for season. If anyone has not seen that, I think a lot of you have seen that, but it's opened up now. Ray and I were over there yesterday morning with staff, and the public seeing it for the first time was amazing. Of course, like Commissioner Hanchik said, we get a lot of the comments now that we're a real airport. So we're excited to see that to come. We're still working with our concessionaire. We have some temporary concessions set up. They are finalizing the permit with the county, and we're hoping they start their build outs here soon. But myself, Ray, and Chad are working with Faber on that.
Just as a matter of interest, that project equals or exceeds the scope of the South Terminal. We've had no communications with their lawyer, no adverse consequences, completed on time, under budget, without any problems, as opposed to South Terminal, which is a daily problem for at least 3 people on your staff and myself.
Well, Mr. White and Mr. LaRoe aren't done yet.
Give them time, I guess.
So now with the terminal expansion, now that we have the north end open, the existing terminal will start being renovated for the new security checkpoint, which is scheduled to open in January. We're currently finishing up starting the finishes on the south end of the terminal renovation, which is slated to open in October, with the concessions as well, with the Duncan.
October this year?
October of this year. So that'll be the new building of the terminal will be completely open and operational end of October. And then we'll have to still be renovating the existing to tie everything into it.
Is Faber in that section of the expansion, the new restaurant?
Yeah, so the new restaurant kind of straddles the
the
north
two.
and the south side. The Dunkin' Donuts is all in the south side, so.
And the new junction is all in the north.
Yeah.
The other one, the grab and go.
Got it.
Our taxiway reconstruction, we're working on our final closeout and closing out the grant on that. Our air center apron expansion, we're currently working on finalizing installing all the storm structure tops, which one of those is in today for approval. And we're planning on paving in 2 to 3 weeks, weather permitting. Once the paving is done, we have to let the asphalt cure, and then we'll seal coat where the planes position parks, and we'll install the tie downs as well. So we're hoping by the end of September, that'll be wrapping up. It'll be completely done before air show. Our Building 97 replacement, which is the air trek hangar, we received CO on that building. We removed all the barricades. We're currently working on punch list items. The building is secure now, is in part of the AOA. They're installing the HVAC units for the hangar portion today. And the goal, I think, September 1st, Chad, is that correct, for the tenant to move over?
Yes.
September 1st is what we've told the tenant, move over. I think we gave 18 days, roughly 3 weeks for the move. So that building is great. Really good looking hangar inside. We'll have to get some pictures before we turn it over. our 600 series T-hanger door replacement. Those are the 12 doors that we've started. We actually have a meeting today at 11 o'clock with the contractor on that. From my understanding, the doors have been ordered. We have not been given a date yet as to when those are going to arrive, but as soon as they do, we will start replacing those doors. And then obviously moving into the following year, as part of the budget, as y'all saw, replacing another 12 next year as well. The Nordell Pond Swift Mud project, that is on for board approval. Working on getting that going. Contractor Dickinson is working out there. We put some silt fence up and get that approved, and we'll get moving forward. Is there any questions? I know I talk fast, so. That's good.
All right.
Thank you.
Marketing, Ms. Miller.
Hey, good morning. I'll just go over a couple highlights. We had our TSA pre-check enrollment event in early August, which was great. And it gives the public a chance to enroll for TSA pre-check at PGD without having to go to Fort Myers or Sarasota. So that was nice. We got about 300 people signed up, and it was so successful. We're going to do it again with our partner IDEMIA in November. So the public can look for that event once we get it published on the website. We also added a new passenger amenity that we promoted called Flip It, which allows the public to send themselves back any prohibited or confiscated items. So if you brought your pocket knife that your mother gave you, or your 4 ounces of fancy perfume, or your tools that you shouldn't have brought with you to the airport, you can mail it back to yourself for $29 if it fits in an envelope. So that's a cool amenity that we have here at the airport now. Allegiant also announced a hyper-seasonal route to Boston. And hyper-seasonal, yeah, that's a new term I just learned. And basically what they're doing is in Boston Logan Airport, they have, limited constraints with time available to have flights in and out of there. So they're going to do flights from Boston and PGD back and forth on February 13th, February 20th, April 17th, and April 24th. So if you have any friends in the Boston area, tell them to come down and visit us, hop on an Allegiant flight. And if that flight does well, hopefully that they'll add that as a regular route to here to Punta Gorda. So that's a huge market for us. And so that will be amazing. So help us spread the word on that. We're going to do some targeted advertising in that Boston area to make that a success. And we're also continuing to promote other routes, of course, that Allegiant and Sun Country have. Our Air Service Development Director is working every day to get the word out about our fabulous airport, try to get additional airlines and air service here as well. From a national perspective, we got a great article in Airport Improvement Magazine about PGD being a TSA screening partner, which is part of that program, as you know, which is great. It's one of the things that more and more airports are doing nationally to make sure that when there are government shutdowns, that TSA workers have the budget because it's a private screening partner. And that's something that's really positive that we continue to get public recognition for nationally as well. Ray's in charge of that if you have any questions about that. And with the terminal expansion, our team has also been working really hard to get new advertising screens up and new wayfinding signs. The IT department, Curtis, Henry, JR, they've been fabulous working with our contractor. So when you do go over to the new terminal, you'll see lots of lovely new signage that's electronic, which is great because then we can change it as needed. And as new construction happens and movements and new concessions open, we'll be able to flip on that electronic signage and change the message to let the public know what's going on. So we're really excited about that as well. And finally, the in-house advertising program continues to do well. And as construction's completed for the whole terminal expansion and renovation by early, hopefully 2027, will hopefully be sold out and things will continue to go well in that area. So if y'all have any questions, let me know. Okay, thanks.
Mr. LaRoche, quickly.
I'll try not to take as long as Mr. Carr. Airport ops were down a little bit
You don't get
in.
paid by the hour.
I know that's why you talk a lot. We're down about 1,500 operations total in July. Some of that has to do with the fuel prices are still high due to global events. Passenger traffic was up, still relatively flat, 2,500 passengers more than last July. So we're seeing a little bit of an increase this year, but as Allegiant stated and we've repeated, they're going to remain flat for the rest of this year. Avgas gallons sold off the truck was down. That reflects the operations being down as well, 4,500 gallons. I believe we were at about 30,000 in revenue off of Avgas last month. Avgas gallons sold at self-serve staying flat, so that reflects the flight schools that are using the self-serve on a regular basis. Jet A gallons sold were up about 6,000 gallons, and that is primarily due to some government activity that we have going on a regular basis at the FBO due to our DLA fuel contract. So we're seeing a lot more use of federal aircraft coming here because of that contract that Eric maintains. So that is helping our Jet A gallons sold. Airline gallons pumped, again, pretty flat, down a little bit, but flat for the year. I do want to also follow up with what Kaylee said. The IT team here, 3 guys doing an amazing job. Everything that we have everywhere here, terminal, any of our facilities is connected. So that's everything from the lights to HVAC to signage now, all of the computer systems that we use. And the 3 guys that we have here, Henry, JR, and Curtis, maintain that nonstop every day and get everything set up. It's not an easy task. There's a lot of complex programming that goes into that, and I want to thank them publicly for their efforts over the last month. It's been amazing to watch. And that's all I have.
All right, I'll finish up. In your packets is a draft of a T-hanger rate transition policy that I will be bringing to you for approval next meeting. I wanted you guys to have the draft in hand for this meeting and to understand what we're doing. Basically, we're going to transition over the next 5 years to a consistent rate over all the hangars. To do that and not increase rates significantly, we're going to lower the top rate. So for the 42-foot non-new hangars, we're lowering the top rate from 500 to 450, and then the legacy rate will increase over the next 5 years to 450. And we'll keep the current rate for 2027 and 28, 29, and 30 stagnant to allow the legacies to catch up. Similarly, with the 604 hangar, which is the 45-foot, we're going to lower the top rate from 700 to 600 and then catch up over the next 5 years. And then the larger box hangar, or the newest hangar, 607, we're going to lower those down from 1,000 to 775, and then start increasing everybody. So they will catch up a little faster. But these are all, consistent 5 or 3% increases, which is in the lease currently. So just wanted you guys to have it. If you have any questions, let me know. We're trying to be as generous as possible as we work with GA. We are, as you look at that graph, we are a large GA airport that has commercial service. We've spent $36 million on GA facilities over the last 4 years. It has been a push. The GA community said we didn't do enough for them over the last 10 years, so we really pushed, built the new FBO, built the new ramp, built new T hangars, built new box hangars. But there is a sense out there that we don't like GA. It's just not reality. The fact is we have done and continue to do a lot for GA, and it is still what this airport is based on. So that is.
Yeah, one of the things it does too, it lets all of our T-hangar tenants know what their rates are gonna be for the next 5 years, basically.
Yeah.
As opposed to, you may recall, a year ago, I guess it was, the proposal was to jump everybody to 600 a month with some huge increases. And this makes it more tolerable, and everybody knows they can budget for it. They know what the rates are, and they can go out and check other airports and see where we are. But basically, these rates are based on what our really costs are, and I don't think they recover all of it, but it's pretty close.
No, as you notice,
Yeah.
three-quarters of $1 million to replace doors. So.
Yeah.
Will this go out to the T-hangar community between now and the next meeting?
It's,
and/or
it-
attend and
it-
talk?
it's already out there.
It's out.
It is out, yeah. But it won't be.
We had a lengthy discussion at Tenant Talks this week regarding the rates, and we can put this out in the buzz as well so that
Yeah,
everybody can
it
see.
really needs to get out. I mean, there's been a lot of chatter on Facebook on this, and not all of it is factual.
Unfortunately, yeah, we don't respond to the Facebook
Yeah, I
posts
made
that
a
are
mistake of responding.
99% inaccurate, but we talked about that as well at Tenant Talks. You know, from our point of view, if a concern is not factual and we go and look at it, it invalidates that concern. So I've asked at those meetings for people, if they're going to have concerns and bring them up, whether it be in public forum or to us in private, which we're always available for, that they bring facts, because we're going to go and look at that. And that's what we have to base our decisions off of. So saying things like fuel is the highest around, or that our rates are going to be $1,700 and next year, things like that just aren't true and don't help the cause. So we're trying to address concerns as we hear them with these rates, and I think it's more palatable this way, and we try to get the word out through those means.
So am I understanding correctly that when there is something that pops up that is factually inaccurate, your policy is to not respond?
We don't engage on social media and things like that. No.
So
It's an individual like pilot group. It's not our Facebook page. It's not our official airport Facebook page. So that's what he's talking about. It's like a different group on Facebook.
I would like to respond. Trust me, but
Let's not.
But we don't.
It'd be more work for you.
Yeah.
So these rates are reflected in the budget, the tentative budget that you just approved. But the transition plan, which is a policy that we need to have in place, just to make
Set
sure
this
that
in.
it's set in stone. If there's ever any complaints, the board has approved the transition plan. So,
If I could make two annotations on when you're completed.
sure.
Two annotations. Number one is I wanted to speak to, they talked about Faber and Duncan relative. Those are licenses with inside the terminal, just like we offered the pizza place. I would also note that as part of that, Eric is bringing online the new hangar and asked for a draft of a particular document associated with the use of that hangar. I recommended again that be a license. They presented me a draft. I rewrote a large portion of it so that this allows aircraft to move in and out of that hangar once it's completed. We're calling again a license agreement. It doesn't give you a property right, it gives you a use right. And that's a very strict hangar. So Eric has the ability to manage that hangar as we proceed forward. And I'm assuming that's been finalized after my input. I'd also note this entire issue of legacy rates had to be researched, associated whether it complies with FAA guidance and regulations. And I did some of that, as did James, and came to the conclusion that it is. Just two other minor issues we're dealing with.
Okay. Moving on. Old business.
No old business. And I will try and move through new business so you can
Okay.
get to your new business. Challenger Road, construction, as Brett said, is starting soon. We need to add construction administrative services to the Michael Baker contract as Amendment 3. The total of that is $88,893. It'll be Amendment 3, and that is funded by the our FAA and entitlements, DOT, and PFCs.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve item number 16A as presented.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Motion carried.
So Nordell Pond is the large drainage pond that we purchased that abuts I-75 between Henry and Airport. The master drainage plan called for 2 filter dikes to be built. These are made out of either recycled concrete or granite. We have to bring granite in from Georgia. But we have a contractor, we went out, Dickerson, who is also working on the taxiway Alpha and the ramp, I believe, gave us a bid of $99,500. I'd like to get approval for that. This will then allow all of the north side and most of the development on the airport to be approved by SwiftMud with just a letter. We have really shortened that process. As a matter of fact, we got a permit in 4 weeks. So, but we have to get this done before
That should have been 2 years with SwiftMud.
It usually would be at least a year.
Okay. Need a motion?
I'll move to approve 16B that the board authorizes Mr. Parrish to execute the agreement with Dickerson Infrastructure in the amount of $99,500.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries.
The next item is a change order to the same contractor. This is for the storm structures. The existing ramp, when we built it, we put a lot of the storm structures in place. But we designed, that original design was for ADG2, Aircraft Design Group 2, which are smaller, lighter aircraft. We want to make sure, and keep in mind, Taxiway Gulf didn't exist. So there was no way for ADG3 to get to the air center without being escorted because Echo is not sufficient for that movement. Now with Gulf in place, we want to make sure we can park ADG3 aircraft on the ramp. The asphalt was already upgraded in the design, but the storm structures were inadequate. So we need a change order to upgrade those storm structures to ADG3. It'll just be the tops. The pipes and everything else were already sufficient.
What about the asphalt on the old apron?
So there will be a dividing line, and we have the same thing on Foxtrot. We can put ADG3 on a section of the north ramp, but not on the other. So that'll be our staff managing where they park.
And the larger planes are like C-130 type?
C-130s, 737s. We get Allegiant flies charters in there. So
Was it an initial design flaw to have the ADG2?
no, like I said, when we designed that ramp, and this was 7-8 years ago, we didn't have access for ADG3 aircraft. They couldn't physically get there. The FAA wouldn't allow us to. We tried to upgrade Taxiway Echo. So because this was an FAA project, they'll only allow you to design to the design group that they agree. Now, we got that changed with Gulf, which is the new connector taxiway out to Alpha, which allows ADG3 in. And we got that changed because we had the MRO coming in, and we had some 737s actually on that ramp. And when you take pictures of it and send it to the FAA, they tend to change their mind.
So what's the proportional percentage of what we're paying and what FDOT is paying on that?
It's 88. Yeah, this is a strange one. But you recall that
FDOT's paying roughly 88?
well, there's a significant portion of this project that CCAA is paying. Remember, we went above and beyond the original
Yeah.
scope, so we're going to get reimbursed at some point in time.
So right now, we're going to fund the whole 91,000
Correct.
and then get reimbursed somewhere down the road from FDOT.
Yes.
Okay, need a motion?
I'll move to authorize Mr. Parrish to execute change order number one in the amount of $91,476.22.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
The next item is a lease agreement with NSMKM LLC. This is for the two parcels that you see on the screen, E and L. The same tenant has B, C, and D as well. We wanted to get that moved forward before we entered into a second lease for E and L. He wanted that at the same time, but he is planning on, he's in design on B, C, and D for some larger hangars, and then he'd like to start E and L as well. We had another tenant come in and look at E and L. We're looking at putting them on S or R, so that'll require a little work on our part in the next few years.
Which one is the Academy hangar? Is it 700?
700 is the CTC. So Alpha A is our current FBO hangar that's almost completed. Obviously, the future apron is now proposed apron. You see the MRO on there, and then W is going to be the caves, I think is what they call it. It's a 60 by 70 hangar complex. They'll actually move that taxiway to the east of here.
Yeah, if you go to the Air Center, you can't miss Hangar A.
It's a big building.
I don't know who put it there.
I think that would be the board.
I'll move
Why
to, I'll move to approve 16E as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any further discussion?
I actually have one more question.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Parrish, you said that B, C, and D are owned by the same company?
They're already leased to the same company.
All right. Are they on like a 30-year lease for those as well?
It's a long-term lease.
Okay.
They have some progression that they have to meet, and we're hoping they'll meet all of that.
Yeah, it's interesting to note the private investment in these hangars. That's a healthy sign.
Yeah, so as Chair Hansick is saying, there's a lot of private money being invested in the airport. That MRO building is $50 million. And then, the caves, B, C, and D, E and L, M, we just got a permit on. That's already leased out. So the entire north ramp that is available will be used up. That's why, the master plan is important, that we get everything else designed.
Where do you, along the same subject on a discussion on this, where are you in the planning process for additional access to the other sites?
We are, because we've had to move that taxiway to handle the MRO and what's going on Site W. We're just starting. We just put it in JSIP, which is the joint CIP program that FAA and FDOT use, and we're putting it in the 5-year plan.
So we can see it within the next, as soon as
I think
you gotta be looking at
Yeah,
that.
I think you're going to see it in the next few years.
Okay. Hearing no further discussion,
All right.
all in favor?
Aye. Sorry.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries.
The last item is the additional item that I threw on here. It's an OTA, other transaction agreement with TSA. It is for the law enforcement reimbursement program. That's a program that went away late in the Biden administration, and it has been put back in place. This we are required to have an officer at the checkpoint. Whenever the checkpoint's open, this pays back a very small portion of that cost to airports. We just got this early this week, signed by the TSA, and I will sign it and turn it back to them.
God, $25 an hour.
That's what they pay. We pay
Yeah.
70.
64.
64.
That's better than nothing. Okay. Need a motion?
I move to approve Mr. Parrish signing the other transaction agreement, 16E.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you, board.
Okay, item 17, public comments. Anyone wish to make any comments? Seeing no one coming forward to address. Moving on to item 18, commissioner comments.
Wesley, are you still here? Congratulations to you. It's always a great accomplishment, so congrats to you. Keep up the great work. Want to congratulate our commissioner-elect who's about to come in here, I believe, at the end of November. Looking forward to working with you as well. And that's all I have.
John.
I have the same. Congratulations, Wesley, and congratulations. See you in November.
Just a huge thank you to staff as always. You guys do a great job making our airport world go round. So thank you very much.
Great, thank you all for coming. It's been a good meeting. Remind everybody that all the information that we've reviewed is available a week ahead of time on the site. All the agenda items, the package is some 140 some pages long, I think. So we're trying to maintain transparency and try to keep all the information out there we can. And with that, anything else?
I would just like to note that our next meeting is not the third Thursday, it's the fourth Thursday, because you and I are going to be in Philadelphia.
Well, you can have them tell them where we're going.
At a big conference. So just keep that in mind when you show up on the third Thursday. No one will be here.
So
Well, they could
We
have,
moved it a couple of months ago. So
I guess they could have a meeting without us. Well, that'd be dangerous.
I don't
so.
want to have a meeting without us yet.
All right, with that, thanks again for all coming. Meeting adjourned.